Hello, ModPo world. It's Al. I'm still here after 13 years. I mean, it's actually me. It's not an avatar. It's not, how about that? It's not, an automaton, although sometimes I feel like that. It's me. I'm here 13 years later. We're still doing it. ModPo. Oh, my God, ModPo. And wow, it's exciting, and I couldn't be happier, and we're so glad that the enrollment, the total enrollment, which is obviously not everybody is involved with ModPo. Some people are just following along. Some people are quietly following along. Some people, are all about, like, I enrolled in that course, but I can't do it. But still, the number is 93,500 or so people. Yes, that's a lot of people. And of those people, 79,000 receive my daily messages. Whether they open them or not, I don't know. Whether they read them or not, I don't know. Anyway, let me introduce my pals, and we're going to get started. The first thing I'm going to do, however, is to tell you what the phone number is, because it's a new phone number this year. Chris Martin, the one and only Chris Martin, who is really a jack of all technical trades, really focuses on audio during these webcasts. And Chris has come up with a newfangled plan that has to do, it's not Skype. We're in the post-Skype world. What is it, Chris?
It's Microsoft Teams, of all things.
Oh, yeah. I don't generally like Microsoft Teams, but I like them today because Chris Martin was able to do something pretty fancy. You want to tell people what that URL is for that crazy-ass site that you created?
Absolutely. So we have the phone number. We have phone numbers all around the world, actually.
And what good is that?
Well, if you don't want to make a long-distance call, if you're on the other side of the globe, you can call a local number in your country and not have to incur any of those long-distance fees. So we have countries all over the world represented.
What's the furthest flung?
That's a good...
Tbilisi? Do we have a number for Tbilisi?
Australia or the Philippines?
That's furthest flung, but I mean yeah, right. Okay. Anyway,
Pakistan.
What town in Pakistan?
Manila. Manila would be.
Manila is in the Philippines, not Pakistan.
I know, but Manila's the furthest.
Manila's the furthest. I meant furthest flung, like Kazakhstan, Mongolia.
Like remote.
Remote Siberia.
Sri Lanka,
Colombo.
Yeah.
We actually have a big ModPo contingent. Imad Majid, who's one of the original ModPo people, is in Colombo, Sri Lanka. Anyway, thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm going to give out the number that's local here, and it will work for everybody worldwide. It just means that some people incur costs. And it is, take it down, write it down, 267-838-9492. That's 267-838-9492. When you call, you're going to be asked for a code. And the code is 649-255-633#, a.k.a. hashtag. So it's actually harder to make a call because you made them do a code, Chris, but whatever, 649-255-633#. Anyway,
Right.
We'd love for someone to check out this new system, so give us a call.
Right, and I'm not sure if I said the URL, actually, in my opening remarks,
Go
but
ahead.
modpo.org/call. Modpo.org/call.
That's so easy.
Yeah.
modpo.org/call.
So that has everything you need. That
Okay,
has all the phone numbers all across the world,
Okay.
as well as that code that you need to put in. So
And
if you
in
just
fact,
look that up.
What I'm seeing now is on the screen that everybody's seeing, there's the number right there. So give us a call. We love it when you call. We're excited. A lot of people are back here after many, many years, and I might shout out to some people who've done intros. But now, meantime, let us say hello to our pals. First of all, Dave Poplar. Hello, Dave.
Hey, Al. How's it going?
How are you? I haven't seen you since we've talked, but I haven't seen you since ModPo last November.
Yeah, it's
You
been a
look
while.
great. You really do. You're getting younger. Is that possible?
It's not possible. No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, anyway, it's really good to see you. You're in Arizona, so it's 1:00. It's time for a post-lunch nap. It is 1:00, right?
It's noon, so it's
It's a 3-hour difference. Oh my God, incredible! After all these years, you'd think I'd get that right. Erica Kaufman is here from the beautiful Hudson Valley, which is actually never more beautiful than this time of year, where you wake up, it's 48 degrees, and in the afternoon, it's 72 degrees. It's marvelous. Hi, Erica.
Hi,
It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm good. That was perfunctory. Can you say with a little more feeling?
I'm great.
You
Just got a Ouija board.
got a Ouija board. Has it spelled any good poems so far?
Not yet, but I'm using it in my class tomorrow, and I'm very
my
excited.
God, you talk about wacky pedagogy. I mean, ModPo is square compared to what Erica does. That's not true. There's actually a reciprocality in our relationship about teaching. So next thing you know, we're going to get a Ouija board. Sophia, can we get a Ouija board?
Yeah, sure. I have one, so sure.
Wait, you have one. All you need to do is bring it in. Okay. And there's Jason. Hello, Jason. Good to see you.
Hey, good to see everybody.
Yeah, well, welcome back to ModPo. And the one and only Allie Castleman. Hello, Allie.
Hi, everyone.
And you are in New York City, the greatest city in the world. Am I correct about that? I'm
Certainly one of them.
Yeah. You know what Hemingway said about New York?
What did he say?
He said two things. First, he said, someday it's going to be a great town. Such a Hemingway thing to say in the roaring 1920s. The other thing he said is that New Yorkers are angleworms in bottles. Not really sure what that means. Fishermen talking, angleworms in bottles. It's crowded.
Oh.
People are worms. I don't know, Sophia. It's Hemingway. It's fucking Ernest Hemingway. I'm not laying claim to that. This introductory round is taking a long time. Sophia DeRose, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well.
It's good to see you.
Yeah.
Back in the ModPo context. I haven't missed you because I see you all the time, but I've missed you in the ModPo context.
Yes.
So, and I'm just going to say, she's going to turn red, and I'm sorry. But Sophia DeRose has a fabulous finished manuscript of poems.
Yeah, if anyone wants to publish it, that'd be great.
And it's out there. It's out there at multiple publishers and editors, and the lucky one is going to say yes. But they're amazing. The poems are amazing. So
Thank you.
And at some point during this 10-week stint, maybe we'll get you to read another poem. I think we did. Did we ask you one time? Yeah, okay. And then my pal Lainey Brown, coordinator of ModPo, fabulous teacher, fabulous colleague, fabulous friend, convener of poetry communities.
Thanks, Al. It's nice to be here.
You're the best. And of course, we have a call coming in. And of course, we have Zach Hardner. And Zach, I don't know if you're going to feature your own, view of yourself. And there's Magda. Hi, Magda. And Chris is on the phone. That's Chris Martin. We also have Lou here, who has been watching since I was an undergrad. Would you? Yeah, Lou.
Hello? Yeah.
Hi. How long have you been in ModPo?
I was watching you guys on Coursera since I was in year 2 undergrad, which was like 2-3 years ago.
We're so glad that you're here.
So am I.
And where were you when you were logging in?
Sometimes in China, sometimes in the UK.
China and the UK. And what brings you to Philadelphia, USA?
Grad school.
You're in grad school. Where?
Yeah. GSE.
Here at the University of Pennsylvania, in the Grad School of Education.
Yes.
Wow.
I applied to 2 programs at UPenn. One is at GSE. One is Penn English. I got rejected by English, got accepted by GSE.
The Kelly Writers House and ModPo have no relationship with the Department of English at the University.
Thank you for letting me know.
Plausible deniability. We did not. I mean, I have an appointment there, but you know what? I have a secondary appointment at the Graduate School of Education.
Oh, you do?
I'm a professor at GSE.
Which?
Lou just got an idea about me sponsoring some independent studies. So, we'll talk later.
Cool.
And also, Emma is here, our newest CTA, community TA. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Al.
And you came from New York City.
I did.
Angleworms in bottles.
I am an angleworm
and
myself.
you have a new Writers House T-shirt. Is that yours?
Yes, I
Can
just
you
bought
hold it up for the camera?
Oh, is there? There's a camera?
Many.
What do you mean there's a camera? We have cameras all over the place. Nobody is.
Can people see this?
It's
Oh,
there. Up
here
there.
you go. My new T-shirt.
Everybody
Come
can
and
get
get
one of
one.
those. Zach, can we get those? Can people get those online? What do you mean you don't know? Aren't you?
Sophia says yes.
Yeah, you can get the mug.
Oh, at the Cafe Press site. So just search Cafe Press Kelly Writer's House, and you'll find the mugs and probably the T-shirts. You're not so sure. Okay. Anyway,
I could send them to people.
This is week 1 of ModPo, and we have some things to do in the next little bit to talk about it. We're about to take a call, but the fact is that the chat space that's associated with YouTube is just humming. So I am going to ask Sophia and Lainey to cite and quote a few people. And here's Drew, back to ModPo. Oh my God, Drew, it's so good to see you. And I'm going to ask Dave Poplar if you wouldn't mind going to the discussion forum thread, which last year wasn't very busy, but I've been hawking it this year, and I think maybe we'll probably have a few things there. So let's go to Sophia. Can you quote a few of the pals in the chat, and then we'll go to the phone.
Yeah, we have a lot of people just catching up, saying hi, excited to be back for another season. Suzanne is wondering if calls would work in Antarctica. I don't have the answer to that.
Suzanne is not in Antarctica. Suzanne is in North Carolina.
Just curious.
Feeling like it's Antarctica.
Jane said that Dave is aging backward, but she is aging forward, and that's the magic of ModPo.
Who said it?
Jane Ward.
Jane Ward said it?
Who
Jane,
is in my
I don't think
office
that's...
hour.
You lie, Jane.
I
I'm
agree,
sure you're
she
getting
lies.
younger. You're veritable. Although Peter Pan over here is Dave Poplar. I mean, what's your secret, Dave? I know, just staying in grad school a long time is your secret.
Yeah, I'm a student, so it's easy to stay young when you can pretend you're not yet in the real world.
People write that down. Any others you want to quote there? It's quite a happy crew. Seeing.
It's a very happy crew. I had some people in my office hour this morning raving about Dave's office hour yesterday, actually, and we have some more of that in the chat, which is awesome.
Dave has his people, the Poplarites, I call them. I think in my book, I actually refer to Dave Poplar's people. I think that's the phrase I use, my book about ModPo.
My mod people?
You call them mod people, yeah. Mod peeps, I think you used to call them. So, Lainey, do you want to add a few from that?
Sure. People are really admiring the T-shirt.
Okay, good.
And saying hello happily. And Jane wants to know about the painting behind Erica, which is so compelling. Erica, can you say something?
What is it, Erica?
It's can you see the whole thing?
Yeah, we can see the whole thing.
It's a painting by a former student of mine named Zoya Kermani, who just graduated, and she was going to get rid of it. She didn't like it, and I think it's extraordinary.
Any relationship to David Kermani?
No.
John Ashbery's partner? Kermani. What kind of... Is this a Persian name, I want to say, but maybe... Yeah, that sounds right.
Yep.
Okay, Dave, in a minute, we're going to come to you to talk about the thread, but let's go to Chris, and who's on the phone, Chris?
Yeah, Al, we have our dear friend Stanley on the line in New Mexico, and he wanted me to just pass a message along, but I said, no, they want to hear from you. So here's Stanley.
Stanley, how are you, buddy?
Well, I am here. I wanted to let you know it took me a couple times to get through because the number to tune in kept saying, no, this isn't a real number. Anyway.
Wait, Stanley. Chris Martin
I
really
did
needs...
get through.
Stanley, hold on. Chris really needs to know. Was it user error or is there a problem with the phone number?
No, it was the phone number that you had up was 235 instead of 255. But
wait, Chris, you fucked up? No, Zach fucked up. Okay.
I'm clear.
I'm
clear, baby.
Stanley,
anyway,
this is so cool. Yeah, you're in New Mexico.
Wanted to say this is just awesome. ModPo 2025 is going to be just the best time I've ever had, the best 10 weeks I've ever had.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to Jason's marathon tonight.
Yeah, Jason, are you going to go for the marathon mode still, or are you going to do what the rest of us do and have an hour? I think Jason froze, and that's what happens when suddenly you...
We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes. Okay,
Well,
good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard you.
Now?
Okay. What I got yesterday was this book. Well, you can't see it, but it's The Poems of Emily Dickinson by R.W. Franklin. And it's every poem. And there's some poems I've never seen before, like the first 3 in the book.
Nice.
And they're pretty incredible. It was her original writings. And I'm on standby for their marathon that starts on the 15th at the museum.
That's great. They're going to read 1,700 poems.
1789, yeah.
1,789 poems.
Anyway,
well,
I
Stanley,
just want to say I've been to a couple office hours already, and they've been really good. And looking forward to a really, really fun ModPo.
Great. Stanley, it's good to get to talk to you. You too are getting younger. I mean, I swear that the phone calls we've had in the past, I thought of you as an older man, but now you seem really young. Maybe it's the enthusiasm you're having over ModPo.
I'm actually getting younger every day, and we've been watching the sunrises here in New Mexico for 11 years now, and sunset, sunrises, moonrise, moonset.
Yeah.
You can't get old with that one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I have this feeling about you. We've never talked about it, but that you have meditative practices, that you're that you can get calm.
Except I'm really excited to hear what we're going to do today.
Okay, all right.
So I'm going to get off the line.
Okay, Stanley, you're the best. Lots of love.
Maybe Appy will give you a call.
Yeah, good. Okay, great. I hope
Talk to you guys later.
All right, Stanley. Take care. That's Stanley calling from New Mexico, 267-838-9492. We are going to play the Emily Dickinson game. Last year, remember this? I bought the whole thing, and we used an app called Pretty Random, and we picked a poem, and we did a close reading of a poem none of us had ever seen. So in a little while, I want to do that. But first, I would like for each of us in the group just to toss out their favorite Dickinson poem of the week, including ModPo Plus, and I'll keep a little list of them, and then we will. Do you have any spare paper, Sophia? Like blank paper? What the heck? Somebody has paper.
You can use the back of this.
No, you are going to use the back of it. So, would you write down the names of the names of the titles of the poems, and then rip them into little strips, and then we will pick randomly which poem we're going to talk about. Okay? All right. First, Allie, what's your favorite poem of the week?
Just go with an old classic. Tell all the truth, but tell its land.
Okay, good. And do you still think that's true?
Yes.
You do. More than ever?
Yes. Actually, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Open to debate. But I do think it's true. I don't know now more than ever.
Well, this is a political question.
I know. But that's why I feel like I need to think about it.
Of authoritarianism, which has its own language theory, like what I say means the truth, one wants slant as a way of protest and resistance. On the other hand, slant might give the bastards a chance to make truth while we're slanting around. Yeah. So that is the upside and downside of the politics of Dickinsonian slantedness. Sigh. I'm not going to mess my mood. So will you write that one down and make a little strip? You already did. Mm-hmm. Strip. Okay, who's next? Erica, what's your favorite this week?
Strip, I was going to say the same one.
Do not strip, just rip. Sorry, I'm getting in trouble 5 minutes into the first.
Rip the strip of paper. That's all you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. Yeah. Erica?
I was going to say tell all the truth also.
Okay. I think you should make 2 of those so it has twice the chance of being the chosen one. Jason, your favorite this week? You're muted, Jason.
Let's see. I think could be
We can come back to you if you want.
yeah, come back to me.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. So, Dave.
I'm going to say I dwell in possibility, just because of the context of this poem in the course. It's such a great home base poem to start and finish with, and it's almost like the starting point for infinity.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's always great to come back to this.
You know, it was an accidental choice for the very first poem in the course back in 2012. I mean, more or less accidental. But it turns out to be, you know, a great start and anthemic, which is exactly what you just said, so I won't repeat. Okay. Sophia, your favorite at the moment?
The one I've been thinking about most, because Vijaya wrote in our chat for the webcast that she was thinking about The Brain is Wider Than the Sky, and I haven't revisited
ModPo
it in a while. Yeah, so I'm
Brain
gonna,
is
I'm gonna
wider
do
than
that
the
one.
sky. Wow, that's a tough one. Whew. Wouldn't even know what to do with that. Okay. So, Emma, do you have a favorite one you want to tell us about?
Well, now I want to go with Brain is Wider Than the Sky because I have a, what's it called? A golden retriever? No, not a golden retriever. I have an Aussie doodle, an Aussie labradoodle. But I have a golden, what's it called? The form where you end with the
shovel?
Yes. Thank you. I have a golden shovel for that.
Wow.
Fantastic. Do you want to tell us what is a golden shovel for those of us who don't know?
So a golden shovel is a poetic form where you take a stanza or a poem and you write so that the last word of your line is each line of that poem. So
you're blowing
does that
Lou's
make
mind.
sense?
Yeah.
And it was created by the poet Terrence Hayes, I believe.
Yeah, just on the tip of my
Fabulous
tongue. Yeah,
poet.
Terrence Hayes. Yes. So I just do the first stanza, but yeah.
And The Brain is Wider Than the Sky relates to that. How? I guess it would be a great basis for a golden shovel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, cool. All right. Drew, do you got one? You want to pass? Lou, would you pass the mic to Drew?
May I?
You want to do one first?
Yeah, so my favorite Dickinson is had I not seen the sun, I could have borne the shade. Yeah.
Had I not seen the sun,
I could have borne the shade.
I love that.
Yeah,
Wow. Not in the syllabus at all. Yikes. Drew, do you have one?
Yeah, I got to go to a recitation like in 5 minutes. So I'm
so you're
head
going
out.
to toss it out.
I'm going to toss it out.
And then you have to go. But it's good to see you in any case.
And I just want to say something quickly about it too.
Go ahead.
Because I'm revisiting it now. But I got to say, Brain Within Its Groove. And I was just sitting here literally thinking about like a brain and like the grooves in between like the noodles in the brain.
Oh, the actual physical weird raisin-like brain.
Yeah, like the
have in
literal
our heads.
grooves in between the brain. And they don't really run evenly and true.
They don't.
And like I kind of like that. So
it's cool you're blowing our minds thinking about the shape of our brain.
Yeah. So now I'm going to go to math recitation.
Okay, math. Okay. All right, cool.
I have all in hours.
Lainey, did you do one? You didn't.
I'm going to say Volcanoes Beat in Sicily.
Oh, I love that poem.
Just because I'm feeling explosive.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. All right. So in a second, Sophia is going to choose. You know what? It was week 1 poem, not Dickinson poem, wasn't it? Can I do Canto 8 of Song of Myself?
If you want.
Okay. So Lou and I are into Canto 8. Sophia, you're gonna find a way not to pick that.
No.
Okay.
Well, the odds are against it.
Well, maybe I should say it a second time.
We could put it in like
Magda,
8.
will you say Canto 8
We could put
of
it
Whitman?
in 8 times.
Magda
and then
just seconded it.
You'd have 50% chance.
Lou just seconded it. Lou, you're the best. I hope you come every week. You have to push and put you. There
Hello?
you go. Yeah.
Okay, and so if we are not limited to Dickinson, since you trotted out Whitman,
Yeah, you're
may
right.
I may I
messed
may I
up the
may I,
rules.
may I vote for another Whitman poem?
Okay, go ahead.
I forgot the title, but it's about astronomer. Like the astronomer, a short poem. Like Whitman decided not to listen to astronomer and go out and see the stars himself. What's the title of that poem?
I think it's called The Astronomer.
The
Isn't
astronomer.
there? Anyway, it's not even on the syllabus, Lou. You're blowing our minds.
Apologies, but
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the learned astronomer. Good job.
When I heard
Okay.
the learned astronomer. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Jason had to step out, so we now have collected all of these things. But I am going to say to people that the next person who calls is going to get, as a gift from us, Sophia Naz's book, Date Palms, which I have in my hand, Zach. Date Palms. And yeah. Next caller, 267-838-9492. Make sure you enter the code 649-255-633 #. Chris, have we had any other attempts to call us? Okay, I think they're stymied by the complexity, but we'll draw that conclusion later. In any case, please give us a call. Okay, Sophia, pick one of those.
I think Lainey should pick because I folded these and I
Okay.
roughly know.
Oh, you roughly.
And we're doing this without a hat and without a cup, but
I know, we should have a cup.
but we're all for doing things.
Oh, there's a hat.
Oh,
That's that crazy Mets hat that
Thank
looks like
you.
a Yankee hat, which I'm
All right.
very upset about. 'Cause it's confusing me.
and the winner is Canto 8.
Lainey.
So sorry.
Okay. Can I just dispense with Canto 8 really quickly? Song of Myself, Canto 8. Al has great powers. All right, here it is. This is Blab of the Pave. Right? I think I'll just read the Blab of the Pave part so we can talk about it and go back to the Dickinson. All right? The blab of the pave, tires of carts, slough of boot soles, talk of the promenaders. The heavy omnibus, the driver with his interrogating thumb, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, the snow sleighs clinking, shouted jokes, pelts of snowballs, the hurrahs for popular favorites, the fury of roused mobs, the flap of the curtained litter, the sick man inside borne to the hospital, the meeting of enemies, the sudden oath, the blows and fall, the excited crowd, the policeman with his star quickly working his passage to the center of the crowd. Move aside, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. That's me. The impassive stones that receive in return so many echoes. What groans of overfed or half-starved who fall sunstruck or in fits. What exclamations of women taken suddenly who hurry home and give birth to babes. What living and buried speech is always vibrating here. What howls restrained by decorum. Arrests of criminals, slights, adulterous offers made, acceptances, rejections with convex lips. No. I mind them, or the show or resonance of them. I come and I depart. Okay, thank you. All right, let's just have a couple people comment on that, and then we will proceed to pick a Dickinson poem and take the phone call. All right, Dave, you've always been something of a Whitmanian. Would you like to talk about that exuberant catalog?
One of my most enduring memories from ModPo, I'm pretty sure it's not a false memory, but it was walking into the Kelly writer's house when I was taking ModPo, English 88, in person one day when we were discussing Whitman, and you had blaring on the loudspeakers on the PA system, Land of Hope and Dreams by Bruce Springsteen. And it's such a perfect Whitmanian song. and every time I read, especially this part of Song of Myself, I just hear those lyrics where Bruce is cataloging all the people he's inviting on the train, saints and sinners, losers, winners, whores, gamblers, lost souls, all those things. It was just such a great memory, and it brings everything together for me.
Yeah, thanks for that memory. I haven't played Land of Hope and Dreams in that part of ModPo English 88 for years, but I did want to think about the Whitmanian tradition as moving up through, somebody like Carl Sandburg and some of the Beats, Woody Guthrie, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, that troubadour-ish visionary romanticism of America, as in Bruce's song, a landscape that you can and John Ashbery does this in The One Thing That Can Save America, by the way. This landscape that is horizontal, and Bruce is the Whitmanian speaker in that poem, saying, "I will be with you for part of the ride. Don't worry. I'll be the conductor. I'll be the engineer, and I'll be the person sitting next to you in the car, in the train passenger car." And so there's, Walt is there, even though it's so third person-ish. Yeah. Lainey, do you want to just add anything about that, and then we'll move on to another Dickinson poem?
Sure. I'm just thinking about all of the sounds in this part, Canto 8, and
can you riff a few
how
of the
that's
sounds?
connecting to playing music, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the blab of the page is this talk of the street, the tires of carts, slough of boot soles, talk of promenaders, the heavy omnibus, the clank of the shod horses on the granite floor, clinking,
mostly sound.
Shouted jokes, even something like pelts of snowballs, like it's a visual image, but we hear it.
Yeah.
Hurrahs of popular favorites. It just keeps going on, and then it builds up to the vibrating here. Mm-hmm. What living in buried speech is always vibrating here. So all the sounds are kind of coming together, and then into the howl.
And howl, which,
yeah.
Surely Ginsberg derives howl from that canto,
yes.
I would think, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that a good, fortunate choice on the part of Ginsberg to take howl from that canto? How is it beat or Ginsbergian?
Well, there's the beat in the poems and the collective sounds of all the people, and how that coheres into poetry of everyone and every day.
Yeah.
It's a sensibility that's in Whitman and in Ginsberg.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's also implicitly in Ginsberg anti-academic, because he and his pals are dropping out of Columbia. They're having like crazy trips, and writing and drawing skulls on the inside of windows, and throwing potato salad at their professors who are talking about Dadaism instead of being Dada. And so howl is a great incoherent response to the Lionel Trillings of the world who were teaching them. Okay, we have someone on the phone, and then we're going to bamboozle this person on the phone to participate in a discussion of whatever Dickinson poem gets picked by Sophia. And I want to make sure that we turn back to Jason, who is back. So who's on the phone?
Our viewers are not stymied by the complexity, Al. We have 4 callers actually on the line right now.
Okay.
But not all
Chris
at once.
Martin, once in a while, has an edge about him. He's saying, fuck you to anybody who thinks that this is too complicated for ModPoers. If they can read Stein, they can make a fucking phone call. Right? You can quote me on that.
We got some smart ModPoers.
So how do you know there are 4 people on the line? Because you can only take one at a time.
Well, I could put everybody on at once,
You
but
could?
that would possibly be chaos.
Wait, you could do that though, technically?
Technically, yes.
Can we think about doing that?
That's interesting.
We can definitely think about doing that.
It would be like having a little,
party.
We could get Suzanne and
Polyvocal
Miranda
poem.
Jubb and Holly York and tea from Manila all on at the same time.
It could be
and we could
awesome.
sit back and smoke cigars and eat bonbons and let them run the webcast. Do you have any cigars?
Sorry,
I always talk about that, but I've never smoked a
I didn't
cigar.
bring any
in my-
today.
Do you want one? I have some in my
You have a
freezer.
cigar?
In my
Havana
freezer.
cigar?
Yeah.
How'd you get that?
I have my ways.
Is it legal?
Don't leave home without one.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Who's on the phone?
Anyway, our first caller that we have queued up here. The others, please just wait patiently. We'll get to you soon. Erin in Virginia Beach is on the line right now.
Hi, Erin. Can you hear me? Erin?
I hear you. Hello.
Are you Erin J?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you Erin J?
Yeah, I am Erin J.
Wow. You've been doing great
I
stuff
am.
in
Can
the
you hear me?
forum. Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, it's a little lag.
I
hear you now. Yeah.
Okay, good. We can hear you just fine. You're Erin J from, is it Virginia Beach, did he just say? Erin?
Yes, I'm in Virginia Beach.
You're from Virginia Beach. Okay, good. Yeah, good. So how did
Yes,
you...
I'm here. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Yes. And how... You know what you should do? You should turn down your sound coming out of your laptop, because I think that's confusing you, and just listen to my voice on the phone. Sound good?
I am. It's still lagging.
Okay. Well, you know, Virginia's a long way. It's okay. It's fine. So, what did you have a question for us?
No, I actually just wanted to talk about the brain within its groove. I really enjoyed that poem this time around.
Good.
I really didn't get Emily Dickinson before, but this is just a wonderful poem, and I this time kind of wondered what her splinter was. I started to look into her life a little bit more, and maybe what about her life makes her write, what makes her create. It was really good book. Really good story. I'm sorry.
That's really great. You know what, Erin, since there's such a long lag, I'm going to ask you to hang up, and then I'll throw it out first to Jason just to so we can talk about the splinter swerve.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay? All right, Erin, keep posting to the forums, and we're going to blame Chris for the delay because, it's obviously a flaw in the technology. Anyway, Erin, thank you. Talk to you soon. Okay, so that's Erin J. from Virginia Beach. We'll blame the lag on Chris, and now we'll get another person, one of the four, to come up, and if that person has a lag, then we're definitely blaming Chris. Meantime, Jason and Erica, would you each talk a little bit about the splinter in the brain within its groove, briefly? What would you like to say, Jason, in response to Erin?
Yeah, I mean, the splinter comes from being able to see or to have an experience or that allows you to not take for granted what is otherwise kind of invisible around you.
Oh, I love that. Erica, do you want to pick up on what Jason just said? What Jason just said is a somewhat new take in our conversations about what's happening to Dickinson's brain there.
Yeah, I can't help but want to read into this poem something that's sort of like, I don't know, like Lucretius, where, like the splinter is like the having of an idea.
Yeah.
And, what's important about those aha moments is it makes you swerve. And that's how new things happen. So it's also like, for me, it feels like kind of almost like a commentary on discursivity, if that's a word.
There's discursivity. Yeah, I like that a lot. And in a minute, we're going to go back to that question of swerve, because Lainey wants to put it in the form of a question for the whole group. But meantime, we're going to take whoever's on the phone, lag or no, and then Sophia's going to pull a name of a poem out of the little pile, out of the hat, and we'll see where we go. Who's on the phone?
Calling from Vancouver. We have Melissa on the line.
Melissa from Vancouver. Melissa, can you hear me?
Yeah, hey, Al, I can hear you.
That's great. It's good to talk to you. So how's ModPo?
Can you hear me?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, great. And no lag. Are we having a simultaneous?
No lag.
No lag.
I've got it off. I'll check it out later.
I'm
jumping back into ModPo from 2023.
Okay.
I first participated in 2023. I wasn't able to do anything last year, but I'm coming back in this year.
Great.
And I'm just as thrilled as I was.
Well, what is it about 2025 that's
I'm so appreciative.
What is it about 2025 that's enabling you to devote more time to ModPo? Things are good for you?
I've hopped back onto poetry. I took a little bit of a diversion into prose for a while. So, but yeah, poetry's pulled me back in. So here I am, and ModPo is the place to be for that.
You are so right. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, Melissa, will you play the game with us? We're gonna pick one of the Dickinson poems from the hat, and I realize this will require you to run to your computer and familiarize with the poem, but maybe a lot of us can say something brief about whatever poem gets picked, unless it's Canto 8 of Whitman.
Sure.
Okay.
I actually had a different. I was hoping for something else, and I hope you don't mind. I just have a quick question for you.
Please.
So the first time around in 2023, I actually didn't get through the part of Divya Victor's poem, and I spent a couple of days looking at it these past few days, and I'm really curious about the inclusion of that poem and how it relates to Whitman and why it's been chosen to kind of juxtapose Whitman or add on to that, or I'm just a little bit, I was wondering if you could make a comment about that, because I love this poem.
Yeah.
And I also love Whitman. So it's,
it's a great question. Actually, how about if we answer your question and you hang up and listen to it through the stream, the live stream, and that way we can get another caller in. Melissa, thank you. Melissa in Vancouver, thank you for being part of ModPo. We're going to respond to your Divya, and we hope we see you around again very soon.
Thanks so much, Al, and everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Fantastic. Wow. Enjoyed talking with her. Okay. Allie, are you up to speed on the Divya Victor response? Would you like to say something about that? And then, Lainey, would you like to also?
Sure. I don't have it in front of me, so this will be a kind of more general response than really close reading. But I think that one of the reasons it's interesting to read the Divya Victor poem next to just our introduction to Whitman is because I think before it was added, we had kind of read Whitman a bit as this quirky, just soulful guy who, of course, would be the center of his own universe, even as he is very interested in others. And we hadn't really accounted for the ways in which his acquisitiveness or just the kind of unquestioned kind of imperial colonialist dynamic, and him just being and it's all about me and us and all of the things.
Yeah.
So maybe that can get us started.
It does get us started, I think, really well. Lainey, do you want to pick it up?
Yeah, that was really well said, Allie. The word stolen or purloined. There's an epigraph in the beginning of Divya Victor's poem, W is for Walt Whitman's soul, and that is one of the very first Indian words to enter the English language was the Hindustani slang for plunder, loot. And that's William Dalrymple that begins her poem. So then we have this exquisite catalog that is so thingness and so beautiful, and it's a catalog of things that are stolen.
And they're plummy to say. Your mouth fills with the foodiness of the thinginess of them. So it's really highlighting the extractive quality of Whitman's idea about language. Melissa from Vancouver, I hope you enjoyed that response. We did pull a poem out of. Did we pull a poem out of the hat? What poem was it?
Yes, we did.
Tell all the truth.
Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. So that's what we're going to turn to now. But we have someone else on the phone because they're all lined up on the phone. Chris?
It's just so easy to call in. I encourage everyone to do it if they get a chance. On the line, we have our friend Jane Word calling in.
Jane.
Hello, Jane. How are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
It's good. So can you take a second to tell us what it's like to be so involved in that scrolling chat next to the YouTube? I mean, what's it like? It looks like so much fun. I've never participated because, I'm too busy running the damn thing.
Well, it's hard to keep up with it. These people are so witty and brilliant, and they have pithy things to say as well as profound. And everybody loves everybody else. It's an amazing experience.
And,
I recommend it.
You said everybody loves everybody else.
See how you can do it, Al.
You said everybody loves everybody else. And that is, from what I can see, accurate. I mean, there's so much sweetness going on. And, like Erin J., when we just spoke to, wrote just a few minutes ago, "Hey, Jane." And then Lou Nelson, "Hi, Jane." I mean, that must feel good. I understand from, the little bit of psychology that I've read. Sorry, that my dripping with irony. I don't read a lot of psychology. But anyway, the little bit that I've read is that when people call you by name, there's all kinds of fun things fire up in you. Like, "Hey, Jane." "Hi, Jane. Thank you for calling, Jane." That feels good, doesn't it?
It really feels great. I love being here. It's wonderful.
Likewise, Jane, are you willing to participate in a little conversation about tell all the truth, but tell it slant?
I'll try.
Okay, good. All right, let's do it. So, Dave Poplar, Sophia, and Lou, will the three of you just say anything at all briefly about that poem, starting with Dave Poplar?
Sure, and don't forget, Al, we have some comments in a discussion forum, too.
Do you want to throw those in just to put them on the table and then proceed with Tell All the Truth?
Sure. So Philip Fontaine wrote, "Hi, ModPoers. You are debating the poems of Whitman and Dickinson every year since multiple years. What is it that defines the timelessness and the ever-enduring fascination of these two characters and their poetry?" Wow. So that's a short, easy question. Matt, where is it here? Yeah, Matt Lutwood raised an interesting question as a prompt, and he mentioned it in my office hours last night too. He says here, "I offer a prompt. Emily Dickinson's poetry is not difficult. All you have to do is fill in the blank." And he explains, "I offer this prompt because I think that those aspects that make her poetry challenging are actually sites of opportunity. taking up those opportunities requires that we slow down and interpret the poem at the level of the word, phrase, line, and so on. At each point, whatever we interpret will lend itself to several possible meanings. And those possible meanings illustrate the flexibility and power of language, which is ultimately fun. Getting bogged down about difficulty might mean we never quite give our full selves to the poems.
So Matt Lutwin said not only that thing with fill in the blank, but then he went on to answer. Is that still, that was all Matt?
Yep.
Okay, good. Matt Lutwin from Pittsburgh, we want you to cross the state of Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, AKA, and come and hang out with us again. It's been a few years since we saw Matt. He's very active. Yeah, I mean, my answer to the question, if you're, I think the gist of it was, if you're about to be bogged down with this extraordinary intellectuality and the theorizing that Emily Dickinson's doing, you should. And my answer would be sing it, because in most cases it's a ballad. And, tell all the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies. Too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise. I made it a country song. As lightning to the children's ease. With explanation kind, the truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Twang. It's a ballad. Yeah. And you can sing it. And that didn't sound very intellectual. Anyway.
Doesn't need to.
Okay, so, gosh, I've forgotten who's on the phone. Who's on the phone? Jane Ward. Okay, so, hi, Jane. Okay, so I asked, Dave.
And me. And Jane.
Sophia. And Lou. And I'm going to ask Jane, 4 of you, to say something brief about Tell All the Truth. So Dave first.
One thing I like about this is just different concepts that you can get out of it, because we're talking about truth, and that seems to imply that there is something like an objective truth, which also suggests that there's such a thing as truth havers and truth learners. So it sets up this dichotomy about this thing, truth, but it's also not necessarily about that as much as it is about truth being a process. So there's just so much density that you can play with when you try to unravel this. And it's such a short, simple poem, but there's so much to it.
That's great. Thank you, Dave. Great way to start. Sophia and then Lou.
Well, quickly, I noticed that Matt wrote that in the discussion as well, and I wrote this little sticky note before I came down here. And I said, Emily Dickinson's poetry isn't quote unquote difficult. All you have to do is, and my answer was talk about it. So that's my answer to that.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And I guess what I have to say about
Does our talk make things simpler?
I don't know if simpler is the correct word. More enjoyable.
More accessible, maybe?
I don't even know if accessible. I think it makes it more expansive. It makes it open.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun.
Tell all the truth.
Fun.
Yeah. Are we having fun?
Yeah.
I'm having fun. At Chris's expense. Chris, it's too complicated a system. Let's go back to whatever, Skype. Or POTS line, plain old telephone service. What's wrong with that? Would that work? What do you mean no? Don't we have a telephone line in this house anymore? Damn.
It just goes out.
It just
for
goes out.
Emergencies, yeah.
So the phone on your desk in our office doesn't.
Oh no, that one works.
It's a landline, I think. Maybe not actually. It's digital. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm grumpy. I think we should go back to landlines.
Okay. I don't think we should go back to landlines, but my thoughts on Tell All the Truth but Tell It Slant is I'm struck this time around by the kind of militant imperative of the line, tell all the truth but tell it slant. Like it is an instruction, yeah. But I think what's important here is that slant takes center stage. Slant kind of presupposes a standard of non-slant things. And so if we're going to think about non-slant and slant, even though this is kind of a militant demand to tell the truth, the but kind of allows us opportunity to both unlearn a straight standard and then relearn something more expansive and something more gradual, something that we can grow into, something that we can commune about.
So it's more patient,
Mm-hmm.
more tolerant, it's better teaching, better learning. I like that. Thank you. Lou, what would you like to say about this? You need a microphone.
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, go. So actually, the first thing that struck me was the meter, the Riemann meter, because it's usually said that Dickinson is a proto-modernist, but she still wrote in common meter, which is why I can literally sing.
That's
this
why
one.
I could sing it.
Yeah, that's why I can sing it.
Did you like my song?
Yes.
Chris, did you like my song? Zach did not. You did, okay.
Yeah, but what I feel is that slant here is when you slant something, when you write something italics, it's actually emphasis added. It's like emphasis added.
Oh,
when you
slant as emphasis.
Slant as emphasis. So
you're really smart.
Hmm?
You are smart.
I appreciate that. But yeah,
you're in grad school. All grad students are smart.
Everyone's smart in this room.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, but like if you're reading academic paper and they slant some words, then they usually note in brackets emphasis added. So if you tell the truth and tell it slant, then maybe you are trying to emphasize what is true and what is not.
Wow. Lou, you're good. Okay, thank you. Jane Ward, you want to add something to this?
I love what she said. That kind of helped me. Tell it slant is what I remember from this poem, and I love just that phrase, tell it slant. And it can mean so many things outside of this poem. And I love that they have a festival going on at the museum, Tell It Slant, coming up. It just makes me happy to say, tell it slant. Then when I get into the poem, I get a little more confused as I read on, but I still get what she's saying. And the truth must dazzle gradually. She gets down to that. I like that. Nice ending. And she doesn't have as many dashes in this one. So.
Oh, maybe there's something about maybe there's something about this particular guidance or instruction that makes the hesitation of the dashes a little less necessary. Maybe what Sophia DeRose was talking about, the gradualism, you didn't use that word, but that might be the word, the gradualism, the patience, letting things play out, doesn't require all the of the dashes. Jane Ward, you're the best. Thank you for calling. And we'll talk to you again soon. I'm going to turn it over. Thank you. Take care. Talk to you soon. I'm going to turn it over to Lainey Brown, who wants to ask a version of this topic we've been talking about, having to do with the swerve. And Lainey, will you call on a few people to respond?
Sure. Let's see. Perhaps Erica and Jason and Emma.
Great.
All right. And if anybody calls in?
If you call in, you're going to be talking about swerving.
Yeah, so here's my question. So I'm thinking about the brain within its groove. And I just want everybody to riff on the word swerve in this poem and think about, what does swerve have to do with poetry? Or more specifically, what does swerve have to do with the ModPo poetry trajectory, the choice of poems that we have here? So, swerve. Erica, what's on your mind with swerving right now?
I mean, the swerve feels like one of the core pieces of what a poem is or does. And so I feel like, and I think this is particularly important now that, once we're headed into modernism, where, there's a way in which a poem should make you swerve. It shouldn't be something that's easily guiding you down any one path. There should be these moments where you suddenly find yourself having these puzzles or discoveries. I'm also I'm also doing basically little beyond reading and thinking about Gertrude Stein because I'm teaching a class on her this semester. And I've been reading a lot of William James, and I'm thinking a lot about generally about, you know, the way one writes and how, you know, when the brain swerves in the Dickinsonian way, I think that she's talking about these surprises or shifts in thinking that are really crucial and part of what poems can make possible for a reader. That's very different from other kinds of writing or even earlier or other kinds of poems.
I love it. So the poem requires us to interact and think critically, and something happens maybe that we don't expect and we don't know what to do with it, and that could be I don't know, I want to say a spark. The swerves could spark something.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit more than that because it's also like, when we offer ourselves permission to exercise our creative muscles, that's where swerves also happen. So it's also a certain openness to not being stuck in certain ways of thinking and really allowing your mind to explore, which again is something I think is central to this particular Dickinson poem.
Right, and so useful in every aspect of life, right? And when you said openness, I was also thinking about an open text and Lynn Hygenian's rejection of closure being connected to this way that we are understanding swerve in this moment. So awesome. Thank you so much, Erica. Let's turn to Jason.
Yeah, that was great. I I think that the like it's the juxtapositions within a poem that are entirely unexpected or unprecedented that allow the reader to kind of move into a space that and to gain a new understanding and a new way of like in the poems are create a place where you can. Sorry, I'm having a little.
No, it's amazing. I mean, even just where you've taken us so far, it sounds like a poem in itself. Juxtapositions within a poem that are unexpected and unprecedented, and they create this space for the reader to move around, and then we don't know what's going to happen, right? So that's really
you're basically
terrific.
defining swerve positively as aesthetic and creative. It is the aesthetic. So much about swerving, especially through bashing psychology again. so much judgment gets made. People who swerve are repressing and denying and not addressing the issue. For instance, stop swerving. You have a daddy problem and you're swerving around your dad. To be very psychoanalytic about it.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
And Al, Emma, what's on your mind with swerve right now?
Oh, so I'm thinking not psychoanalytic. I'm thinking the brain itself, because it's in its groove, it's even and true, and then swerving, there's all kinds of disaster in the second stanza. And yet she says, "'Twere easier for you." And I'm thinking, is that the reader? Because she's doing it for them by saying you can put a current back so your brain can go back to its groove instead of all this madness that's happened, right? I mean, she's taking out the mills with a flood. So, right? I mean, it's very anti-capitalism.
Yeah.
So you could go anywhere with a swerve.
Anti-industrial.
Yeah, definitely. Right? Making its own turnpike. Your brain can do all these things by swerving. So she's sort of being very subversive in giving us this possibility and saying, oh no, we're going to put the current back.
Well, thank you for connecting this swerve to the second part of the poem in particular. And yeah, I think you're emphasizing the magnitude of the swerve. In other words, if our mind goes in another direction, an idea enters the mind and it goes off, to try to return it to where it was is like going back to landlines. It's not going to happen, right? But she's comparing it to sorry, Al. These ecological, disasters and industrial problems, but it's all happening in here, which is really interesting. That what's happening in the brain is not small, and it's hard to control it or manipulate it or put it in a place.
Yeah. See, I think of her as like a fellow autistic person. And I think that's where all those dashes come from. And this idea that it's easier for other people, or that the brain even has a groove where it could be easy.
Yeah,
These
I
are
was
huge ideas.
Yeah,
just
amazing.
reading recently, Emma, about the way in which Whitman studies have connected with disability studies. Whitman, okay? Dickinson studies have already been there long ago. And actually thinking about Whitman in that regard also makes me go back to the first comment that Dave Poplar read from the thread, which was asking us to reflect on the Whitman-Dickinson comparison 13 years after we sponsored it first in ModPo. And I would just throw out that for me, over the years, they have come together partly based on the sheer power of the brain in the poem we just talked about, which you could, when you call it anti-industrial, or you get Sophia DeRose thinking about its radical political possibilities, as like saying to New England, no, this is a bad idea, we're going to destroy that with our imagination. Then you get two poets who have, I'm not sure that power is what Dickinson is after, but certainly it's the effect. The volcano poem is also about power. That Whitman, who shows maybe too much confidence in the power of his ability to name things and use words for them, and Dickinson share a lot in common. They both felt, this is the proto-modernism, or this is the why we treat them as equally powerful precursors of what's going to come next. They really are into the power of the mind and the power of language equally, just as much. We're going to do two things to wrap up today. One is we're going to play the Dickinson game, got all the poems, and we're going to pick one. I'm not sure how much we'll be able to do with it. And the second thing we'll do is we'll get very brief final words from everybody. I also want to say hello to a few ModPo people. That's a lot to do in 20 minutes. And we have someone on the phone. Chris, who is it?
We do. Our dear friend Dan Bergman and Michael Bergman.
Hello, Dan and Michael. You've been waiting on the phone for a while. How are you?
We're fine. Dan has been writing lists of responses to the discussions, which he wants me to read to you.
Will you read them, most or all of them, please?
There are only 4 of them, and only the first one is long.
Okay.
The first is a reaction to Canto 8.
Okay.
Before I learned to spell and think, I didn't think what people said around me and what I heard had anything to do with me. So the blab of the pave describes it perfectly. Now, all the things in Whitman's list are very evocative to you neurotypicals. Each phrase conjures something from your experience or your imagined experience. But I want you to read it again and read it aloud and imagine that you have no associations to any of the items on Whitman's list.
Wow.
That's the first one.
So Dan is reflecting on a time in his own life when his autism meant, as an effect, that noises were being made and he felt that they were foreign to him. Is that basically the gist?
That he didn't have to act on them or participate in them in any way.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. I'd be very curious, Dan, how much differently you feel now encountering those sounds in Whitman after all these years. And I realize this will take a second, but
Dan says, now I'm a Dickinsonian.
well, that makes a lot of sense. All right. Michael, will you read the second thing that Dan wrote?
Next comments.
Yes.
Yeah, second thing. I love what Erica said about the splinter because ideas come from within. And I always thought of the splinter as something that came from the outside.
Wow, love that too. All right, let's go to the third comment.
I love the pun on lies.
The pun on lies. You mean success in circuit lies? That is a pun, yeah. Thanks, Dan. Yes, success in circuit lies. Oh my God, it changes the whole fucking meaning. Success in circuit lies. It's not simply saying that in circuit lies success, but that success lies.
If you're within the
As you get from the circuit lies. On the other hand, Dan, this is the last thing, Dan says, talking about Emily's poems doesn't make them simple, but it creates the circuit.
Wow. Hey, Michael and Dan, well, Dan, would you be willing to stay on the line for another minute or two, well, a few minutes, to participate in our final words at the end? Would that be okay?
Dan says, sure.
Great. Fantastic. I also just want to say that Dan, who is a community TA and part of our team, is back in a big way in ModPo. So we're just, with everything else that he's doing, making films and doing a lot of other things, we're glad to have you back focusing on what's going on here. Okay, well, this is going to be an abbreviated version of this game, but Sophia DeRose, will you take out the app called, what is it called?
Pretty Random.
Pretty Random, and put in the highest number as 1775, and shake it and get a number between 1 and 1775. And I'm going to pick that poem and read it, and Lainey will be sitting next to me, and we're just going to riff on it a little bit just to, I don't know, prove that we can handle any crazy poem by Dickinson, because there's a lot of minor poems. You're shaking it. Are you happy that such an app exists? 1617, that is a late poem. 1617. Okay, nothing up our sleeves. We have not seen this poem. If you at home have the complete Dickinson, you can follow along. But meantime, I'm going to read it And Lainey and I are just going to play around with it. Oh, it's a good poem.
We'll see.
Wow. Oh, my God. And Dan has an amazing way of hearing texts. So forgive me, Dan, if you want to comment, because I think you have a lot to say about this particular poem. If you want to comment, you can. So I'm going to read it twice. 1617. To try to speak and miss the way and ask it of the tears, Tears, to try to speak and miss the way and ask it of the tears is gratitude's sweet poverty, the tatters that he wears. A better coat, if he possessed, would help him to conceal, not subjugate, the mutineer whose title is the soul.
Do you want me to read it for the second time?
Yes.
To try to speak and miss the way and ask it of the tears is gratitude's sweet poverty, the tatters that he wears. A better coat, if he possessed, would help him to conceal, not subjugate, the mutineer whose title is the soul.
This requires an hour, but we only have 5 minutes.
Or maybe years.
Or years. I mean, this is a really weird poem, but it has a lot to say. I'll start, and you can play around.
Okay.
And Dan, and just interrupt us, Michael, when Dan has something to say. Okay. So it seems to me that what's happening here is that the soul appears tattered, right? And there's a whole misunderstanding of the visage of the soul. The mutineer might be a very Dickinsonian way of describing someone who subverts what they seem to be. The mutineer is of the selfhood. And so this is partly a poem about a figure wearing tatters, and if this figure had a fancier coat, it would actually conceal the essence of what it is to be the soul. And so the trying to speak is super Dickinsonian weird, but it might refer to the poem trying to talk about the soul and missing the way.
Yeah, this is challenging. Okay. To try to speak and miss the way, in other words, to be unable to express the inexpressible, and to cry, is a poverty that allows the soul to be actually seen instead of concealed. So whatever we wear is some kind of an attempt to conceal some inner being.
So it may not be tears.
Tears.
It's tears, Aidan Hunt says.
To try to speak and miss the way and ask it of the tears. I mean, obviously we
tatters,
have to...
tears.
Both readings...
Dan just typed that also.
Yeah.
That he reads it as tears.
Yeah, tears. I'll just quote a few people here, and then Dan, you can add something, and we'll wrap this up and get to final words. But wow, I love this game.
And tears and tears.
You like this poem?
They seem connected because I'm thinking about grieving and ripping cloth.
And that is, of course, an act of mourning, at least among Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that Dickinson was Jewish, but maybe this soul is. I don't know. So Kendall, my first thought is the poem was The Devil and a Kiss of Death. Suzanne, gratitude is the subject being explored, but it's so concealed. Laura Lippman, what is the mutineer mutinying against? Aidan says, not crying, ripping, like tatterns. Yes, we got that. Thank you, Aidan and Dan. Greg Gallagher, hi, Greg. Wow, like the lines are tatters concealing the soul. It's a meta poem. Right? Jane Ward. Lainey is getting at it. Yes.
Thanks, Jane.
We need Lainey for this sort of thing. Suzanne, I don't know, responding to Laura. Miranda Jubb, the holes in our attempts to express ourselves reveal our souls. Miranda Jubb, you got it.
That's great.
Wow. Vijaya, the mutineer is also the soul who is most authentic. Laura, sweet poverty. Insert thinking face emoji. John Rinker, what is the it in an asket? An asket of the tears. Wow, it would be articulation, right? To try the attempt to say something. Yeah. Miranda Jubb, so the way we cannot understand the poem is Dickinson, the soul, by the way, revealing herself to us. And Aiden Hunt, I think it means appreciate what you have, sort of. Look for meaning in the torn clothes, maybe how they got torn.
Oh.
Does this prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the crowd, forgive the use of the word, the crowd is better at doing something hard than any individual expert?
At least the ModPovian crowd
The ModPovian
is better.
crowd. Oh my goodness. Yes. You know, collectivity. Go ahead.
Dan says that the it is the way, and the tatters are the parts of the coat that work as a coat, and the tears are the parts that don't. And the soul, the mutineer soul, is like the splinter. It takes the brain off course. It takes you away from the way.
And this is her major topic. So the reference to the earlier poem, The Brain Within Its Groove, runs evenly and true, but let a splinter swerve, which were easier for you to put a current back. That is her main topic in a way. All right, we have 7 minutes, and I am eager to prove to everybody in week one that we do 90 minutes and out. So that means that everybody has to do a really brief final word. So I'm going to go with Erica first and Lainey on deck. And you can say anything you want, including ballyhoo for week 2 or your office hours, whatever you like, but also just anything about Dickinson and Whitman. Erica?
Yeah, I will ballyhoo my office hours, which will be on Fridays at 9 a.m. And I also have been thinking a lot about Suzanne Miller has been ballyhooing the revival of the discussion forum for teachers, and I've really appreciated that. And she made a really interesting post this morning about students being afraid to use M dashes because it goes through ChatGPT and comes up like it's not their own writing or plagiarized. And that I've just been thinking about that all day. And I'm curious to know if other folks are having experiences like that and thoughts about, it seems bananas, but it certainly makes me want to really think a lot more about Dickinson's M dashes and how the machine could never do what she did and why.
It wouldn't want to because of the conventionality of what it's programmed to say. Wow, that is opening a can of worms. So we're going to have to move on. We're going to go to Lainey, and then Jason's on deck for a quick final word.
I would like to ballyhoo my office hours. I had my first office hours. Was it yesterday? No, it was Monday.
Was that fun?
Today's Wednesday. We had a great time. So much fun. So please come Mondays at 5 and check out the office hours every day of the week. We have office hours. So hope to see you all there.
Fantastic. Jason is up and Allie is on deck.
Yep. I have office hours tonight at 8. And be great to see you there.
People love Jason's office hours. Just saying it. Okay, thank you. Allie is up, and Dan Bergman will be on deck.
I guess I've been thinking a lot about how what unites Whitman and Dickinson is how many or how differently they use words to kind of ultimately express the experience beyond language or what you can articulate. And I think we think of Dickinson as like she gets these little nuggets and then it just like expands into, I think Dave said earlier, the universe. But I just don't want to cast Whitman aside too much in also doing a similar thing through his massing of so many things. And I'm thinking a lot of what Dan was talking about too, but I couldn't help, I'm reading Mrs. Dalloway right now, and I couldn't help but think about how Virginia Woolf puts all these just different sensuous experiences like next to each other, and how that actually points to just this feeling of being alive that like is beyond, it's in the spaces between the words as opposed to the words themselves. And I think that they're both kind of doing that in a certain way. So I just kind of wanted to shout out Whitman's ability to do that too. And office hours, I'll just say really quickly, my office hour is 11 on Thursday, so tomorrow, but I had to make a last minute flight and I'll be flying during then. So I will let you all know very quickly. I'll post it in my office hour thread when my makeup session will be, probably later tomorrow.
Okay, will you also email me and I can put it in the daily announcement? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to turn to Dan Bergman, and Emma will be on deck. And I just want to say in response to Allie that I love the idea, not that you're writing fiction, you do not want to be swerving to do this, but I would love for you to write the following essay. Think about how Divya Victor's Whitman is a sibling to not Woolf's, but Mrs. Dalloway's Whitman. You know, all that luscious preparation for the party. It really feels like the plumminess of what Divya is doing positively in that poem has a real, and in a way, modernism would, anyway, that's a great, I love that possible ratio. Okay. Dan is up and Emma is on deck.
And says, I love ModPo and I love you all.
Oh, Dan, the feeling is totally mutual. I'm very, very excited and always moved by your friendship. And hearts. We do a little hearts thing. I don't know if Zach can catch it, but everybody's doing hearts. Dave Poplar, come on, man. Do you know how to do it? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes, it's hard to do. I find it difficult, but not really. Not really. Thank you, Dan. We love you back, and I'm very excited. One of the many reasons I'm excited about my book coming out is that Dan Bergman gets the final word in that book. He's the last. He's the last word, almost the last word. Anyway, just a little teaser out there for everybody about my book. Okay, Emma is up, and Sophia is on deck.
I am just so over the moon being here. It's so exciting to be in this room. Like ModPo just keeps coming more and more to life for me. And
we're real people.
Thank you. You are real people. And Divya Victor, I am so glad that Divya Victor is in the syllabus now, because that makes so much sense to have a way to answer the colonialist expansive impulse of Whitman with such an expansive, beautiful poem. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Emma, for being here. Sophia's up and Dave Poplar's on deck.
My quick final word is I have office hours at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays, and in my office hour this morning, Kat said something I found really interesting.
Kat McCreadle from Australia?
Yes. we were talking about the brain within its groove, and Kat kind of had like a meta reaction to it today because it's a poem about being familiar with the groove, and she expressed an over familiarity with the poem at this point. However, the let a splinter swerve was like the splinter that allowed her to reappreciate the poem today, and I found that really interesting and lovely.
Wow. Shout out to Kat. That's fantastic. Okay. Dave is up and Lou will be on deck.
This is just more of a suggestion, really, that came up in my office hours last night because when we talk about these poems, we can't help but talk about their authors because they're such larger than life characters, and we read these poems as so associated with them. So the suggestion is when we read these, force ourselves to try to refer to the speaking subject rather than the author or even just the poem, just to try to force ourselves to disassociate it. And then when we do that, maybe we can see the poem even a little bit differently when we break through. Because sometimes when we get so focused on these all the details about these cool characters, it limits our ability to see the poem separate and apart from that. So that's just a suggestion. Also, Al, the Mets lost today, so the Phillies lead is back up to 6.
I was going to watch the game. You just ruined it.
Saved you some time.
Oh my God. I told everybody. I told my 95-year-old mother. I told Zach. I told my daughter. I told my wife, do not tell me the score. Of course, you didn't tell me the score. Oh, God. Dave, I'm mad at you. But you know what? We have tickets. Zach and I and others are going to see the Phillies and Mets here in Philadelphia next week. And we're going to make it up. So anyway. Okay. Lou is up, and I'm going to ask Chris Martin to be on deck because I want to hear Chris speak in a celebratory way about his telephonic triumph.
Okay, so first I'm just really glad to be here to see sorry, Al. I don't mean professor. I mean Al. To see Al in person.
Al.
And
Say
it's
Al.
Al. Yeah. And it's so thrilling to be like in the same room, virtually or otherwise, with so many like real poets. Like, I mean, kind of makes up for like my MFA dream that never was. So yeah, and also I really wish you can put that favorite Dickinson poem of mine into the syllabus. Had I not seen the sun, I could have borne a shade. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, Lou. So glad you're here. Chris Martin, final thought?
Yeah, I'm just excited to get back at this. This is my favorite part of the year, doing all this ModPo fun stuff, all these live streams and interacting with everybody, phone calls, talking to everybody. I want to thank everybody for calling in. I think it went pretty smoothly, Al.
It really did.
Not too bad.
We tease you a little bit about the bumps, but there were no bumps. Whatever bumps were caused by Zach.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Magda, but
exactly.
not me. Thank you, Chris. And thanks to all three of you for making the technology seem smooth because, in fact, it's a crazy quilt of technical hijinks, I have to say. All right. And my final word is simply to shout out to two members of the ModPo community who posted introductions, which is also my way of saying, hey, if you haven't done an introduction, please post one. The intros have been fantastic this year. Really fantastic. So I'll just read two of them. One is from Cat Nerd, N-E-R-D. I'm going to assume it's a fabulous pseudonym, but I don't know. Cat Nerd. Hello again. I'm Cat the Librarian, an amateur writer and artist who has lurked in ModPo for many years. I think I progressed more last year than previously, but I inevitably wander away, swerving, and forget to return. I have ADHD, and I have never learned to make it work for me. Maybe this is the year. Anyhow, I love this course with the in-depth discussions and analyses of poetry and language. It makes my brain flow happy and inspires me to scribble. Cat Nerd, welcome back. Happy that you're here. And secondly and finally, Amber Perron. Hi, my name is Amber. I'm living in the suburbs of Paris. I made my first attempt at completing the ModPo course in 2018. I had just started business school and was desperately looking for a more engaging course, more engaging than, marketing and accounting, and wouldn't take much, but ModPo certainly does that. A more engaging course to follow in my free time. Over the years, I too have made many attempts at completing the entirety of the course. This is my first time introducing myself, however. This year, I'd like to do my best to take part in the online discussions. I hope that included the webcast, Amber Perrone. Thank you, Al, and the ModPo team for creating such a rich and special online space, and I'd like to thank everybody for doing the intros, everybody for kicking off week 1 of ModPo. Week 2 goes to the Whitmanians and the Dickinsonians of later generations, all the way up to the contemporary. We're very excited that you'll be here for week 2. We do have a webcast, of course, every week on Wednesday. When we're in New York in early October, I believe it might be on a Thursday, or is it a Wednesday?
I think it's a Thursday.
So we will be in New York City, the aforementioned greatest city in the world, despite Hemingway's saying it someday it'll be a great town. I think it is a great town already. We're going to be there. We're going to do lots of stuff, and there's going to be a webcast there, and we'll tell you much more about all of that. Meantime, have a really great week. Go to the office hours. Join a study group or a meetup. Do the ModPo community thing. Don't make it just a massive open online course that is dead on arrival. It is alive on arrival. Thank you all. Love you. See you next week. And there's Miles.